Analyst. Joel Klatt back with us. Joel, how's the day been? How you been, man?
It's been good. I'm just excited to get to the games. You know, I feel like our news cycle in this sport, it's like I'm so tired of the summer news cycle in our sport. I just want to get to the games so we can stop talking about NIL and transfers and conference realignment.
Yeah, the newsmaker this summer was the Big Ten with UCLA, USC. We'll get there in a bit. I want to focus a little closer to home, and that's Nebraska and the Year 5 outlook for Coach Frost. We saw Coach Frost here on the podium to kick things off this morning right after the commissioner, and he's in game mode already. Nebraska was in, they were out. They're off to Fan Day tonight, and then camp open tomorrow, but needless to say, a big season for the Big Red.
Huge. This team last year was as good of a 9-loss team as you could possibly be, and that doesn't. I know that's like a big bucket of salt poured into the wound. They were so close, and I think that they got stuck, and they got stuck and garnered no momentum, and they needed to learn how to win some of those games. And unfortunately for them, you could see it almost when they would get into those tight ball games. You sensed that there was a tightness about like what's about to happen, and that's because from the rip against Illinois, it was turnovers and penalties that started to kill them. And then that just plagued them the rest of the season. And, until they can fix that, then, they're going to continue to be on the wrong end of this. But they're talented. I like the transfers that they got. I like Scott as a coach. I still really believe in him. They've made some fundamental changes to the core and overall culture of that program, which I think was much needed, to be honest with you. And I don't think that there's any reason why he can't be more successful this year. And to his credit, he knows that. And that's why he has publicly said, listen, I'm betting on myself, if you will, taking a pay cut, which you don't generally see in this day and age. But I think he knows that his job is big this year, certainly, but it's also an important one to get them turned around.
Joel Klatt with us here, Lucas Oil Stadium, Big Ten Media Days. From your perspective and experience as a player and now analyst, kind of pinpoint your take with what culture you saw and what's the flip. And real quick, I think a guy like Bush, a guy like Mickey Joseph, the delegation of more of a veteran offensive mind and Whipple, that can help. But how do you see a better culture, and what was the culture in your eyes?
Well, that's a great question. It's tough to really put your finger on what the culture was. I know talking with Scott, he felt like they needed to get to a point where there were more tough-minded players and guys that could overcome. And I think, I don't know if the word, it's tenacity, it's toughness. And I think that to some degree, the culture within the Nebraska program had deteriorated to a point where that had left, and he wants to bring it back. And I think, at least, I haven't been around him other than one time last year, at least in Lincoln, and he seemed to think that it's on the right track, and he's got a team that more represents that this year than maybe at any time during his tenure.
You mentioned that moment where the game can go either way in a one-score game, and the pucker factor is what we kind of called it growing up. Is it as simple as getting one win to go your way to alleviate that fear versus a little PTSD when you get in?
I think so. I think that winning breeds winning. And so you either have the belief that it's like, oh, hold on, we're almost there, versus like, oh, no, like something's going to happen for us.
Right.
We're going to make a play. We're going to do the things necessary. We've got the confidence to do that. You hear it, talked about as confidence or whatever it is. And I think that there's either a tightness or a confidence, and a couple of wins just generally give you that confidence. And I think that's what they lacked last year.
Joel, let's talk quarterback. Casey Thompson is in. Adrian's down at Kansas State. We saw what Pitt did with Pickett and the Whipple offense. Can Nebraska be a successful offense, grow into that with all these new moving pieces, O-line coach, running back coach, wide receiver coach, plethora of transfers, and a quarterback that I liked what I saw at Casey Thompson. I just hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the health is an issue. It was an issue a little bit last year. I think more than anything is what you see in college football is that every team has a 1-year lifespan. And there's always so much turnover that it's a little bit less of an issue in college football to have this amount of turnover than it would be like, let's say, in the NFL when you've got like a veteran core group of guys that are all of a sudden changing systems. So I think that from that standpoint, yeah, it can turn around very quickly. The biggest thing though is being clean. And this is the thing. It's not that the X's and O's weren't there for them last year. They didn't get out schemed. They got out detailed. False starts, turnovers, little things like that, I think are the difference. And sometimes that can be coaching style. That can be any number of things. But I do believe, Scott's been happy with the changes that he's made on the staff, and I think he thinks that they can make a discernible difference right away.
With the run game, it's been very reliant on Adrian Martinez. The quarterback run game, there's a stable of backs, Joel, that you just don't know a ton about, or there's a small sample size. What does success look like to you in Nebraska's run game, presumably without much quarterback run?
Yeah, that remains to be seen. I'm not sure what that looks like. I'm not sure what their immediate strength is going to be. You've got to rely on something right away, and it's either like we can short pass on first down, we can run the ball on first down, we can RPO on first down. What is that? Are they going to be a heavy RPO system? Is it something where that would make sense? I'm not sure what success in the run game looks like. I don't think that they're going to be dominant in the run game, so I don't think you should expect them to just sit there and run the football down somebody's throat. So creativity early in the season, I think that you're going to get some of that. And then ultimately it's just about, can you run the ball when you need to run the ball, in particular late, in particular if you get into those one possession games and you need to milk a little bit of the clock.
The Frost Whipple dynamic. How does that work? You have two pretty good
offensive
chefs.
Guys, yeah. Also remains to be seen. I keep saying that, but it's
get back to me October 1st.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we'll see, and I think if you ask them deep down in their heart, they don't know exactly what it's still a work in progress. You kind of have to go and be in the fire, if you will, before that you're going to know exactly how that's going to all pan out. So we'll see. And we'll see in Ireland.
We're headed over.
Good. All right. Good.
Yeah. Are you? I heard you talking with Doug and company. You get Bama, Texas, huh?
Bama, Texas, week 2. I'm excited for that one. That one should be a good one, and then we're going to be up in Lincoln week 3 for OU.
That'll be great to have OU here. Last thought here on some Big Ten topics. The West, you had so many 9-win, 8-win squads. Any feel with pecking order, or do you have a lean at least? Do you like Purdue because of the quarterback? Do you like?
I do. Listen, when you bring a quarterback back, that helps. Wisconsin was good at the end of the year. They've got to replace a lot on the defense. Iowa needs to find something offensively. Should be really good on the defensive side. You just look past Northwestern at your own peril. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like you and I have been around this long enough to know that it's like Pat's a great coach. So
and he gets them.
Who knows?
You write him off, and here they are back in Indy.
Minnesota has a 15th year quarterback.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? And by the way, Mo Ibrahim is a real back.
He's awesome.
He's a real back. They were giving Ohio State all sorts of fits early in that opener last year before he got injured. So West is as deep as it's probably ever been, to be honest with you. And I think it's a toss-up. And I think one of 4 or 5 schools could actually win it.
Can they replicate their success? Do you see a number of 9-win teams coming out back-to-back?
I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that. I mean, it all depends. And in this conference, here's what's tough about this conference, is that the middle of the conference is all really similar. And this is what bit Nebraska last year, is because when you make little mistakes and you lose little games over and over and over again, there's enough good teams to beat you. There wasn't any easy wins out there, right?
There's no pre Kansas, right?
Correct.
Kansas was always the yes.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And even way back when it was Kansas State, I mean, so there aren't those throwaway games in this conference, and because of that, I could see a lot of 8 and 9 win teams.
Ohio State, they're the favorite. They're the pick. Michigan lost a lot. Does Sparty rebound? Those are all some questions. But Ohio State's run defense, they got lit. They got lit up last year. Is Ohio State like offensively? They're incredible, and
I think they're going to be the best offense in the country.
They just have to outscore folks, or can someone go
see.
ball control?
I mean,
and
Jim Knowles is
He's
there
big.
because of that. His scheme is very different than anything Ohio State has ever really tried to do. Ohio State has tried to just sit there in the past, in general, and just say, we're better than you. We've recruited better than you. And they got out of position a few times last year. In reality, Ohio State fans won't want to hear this, but they really, the Jeff Hafley year, they were good on defense with Chase Young and Jeff Okuda, and Fuller was back there. I mean, they were really good, very talented. Outside of that, they have not played great defense the last 5 seasons, outside of that 1 year. Again, they're not going to want to hear that, but it's true. Bama abused them in that national championship game. Michigan last year only had to throw the ball, I think, 2 or 3 times in the second half to beat them. Think about that. That's crazy.
In those conditions where everyone's loading up against the run anyway.
That's exactly right. Now, they had some problems, with linebacker depth, but that's going to be an issue for them as well. Long story short, I mean, Jim runs a system that was really made for teams like Duke and Oklahoma State that are undermanned. And so they're going to move. They're going to do unique things in the blitz game. They're going to try to create pressure on the quarterback, not allow just one player to manifest that pressure like a Chase Young. And that's not been Ohio State's MO. So this is a defense that they're going to have to learn kind of on the fly, and it remains to be seen. I mean, he had a veteran group at Oklahoma State last year, a really veteran group, and they were very good at the linebacker position. And it's not the same at Ohio State. You're always going to deal with a young defense. Why? Because they're talented enough to go to the National Football League. So remains to be seen.
Notre Dame, your feel is what? What's their landing spot, or do they still get independent status?
What's the time frame?
2 years, isn't it?
I still think they land in a conference.
A pick?
There's only one conference that they would go to.
Big Ten.
Yeah.
It makes a ton of sense, but they
might not. I don't know, but I think that they're going to have to.
That's the domino. Like we're kind of all waiting on here when we talk.
It is, but it isn't at the same time, because that doesn't destroy another conference.
Notre Dame will have to bail if the ACC's already crumbled.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. And it puts the ACC in some peril, but it's the only one that has a high enough value that the presidents of any conference would be like, well, yeah, we need them, because then we're all going to become a bit richer. And I know I hate to just put it in financial terms, but those are the terms,
Joel Klatt with us, lead analyst, Fox Sports, college football, at Joel Klatt. Follow him on Twitter. Great updates throughout, of course, on radio and for sure on his Twitter feed. And Joel, we'll see you in Norman.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
thanks again.
No, Lincoln. It'll be in Lincoln.
That's what I meant.
There we go.
Norman. Yes, but in Lincoln this year, Joel Klatt, thanks for joining us.
You got it.